Good evening, students. Are you able to hear me? Okay. So we'll get started. Only a small portion of this chapter is actually left out. Okay. Yeah. So in yesterday's class, I explained one important topic, that is average kinetic energy of the gas and average kinetic energy per molecule, right? So average kinetic energy per molecule is given by the formula 3/2 kb into T, right? So this is the important point you need to remember for today's topics of discussion. Okay. Now, the next topic that we are going to see is called as degrees of freedom. As the name suggests, when you talk about a molecule, okay, when you talk about a molecule, the molecule will have translational, rotational, and vibrational motion associated with it, right? So, when you talk about the degrees of freedom, it is the number of degrees of freedom of a dynamical system. See, the number of degrees of a dynamical system is defined like this. It is the total number of coordinates or independent variables required to describe the position and configuration of the system. Okay, that means if I take all the particles' position with respect to a coordinate axis, okay, the total number of coordinates that you need to define the position of that particle is what is called as the degree of freedom. If the particle requires only one position, then it has 1 degree of freedom. It needs 2 positions, then we call it as 2 degrees of freedom, like that. So, as I told you, whenever you talk about a particle, it has a translatory motion, it has a rotational motion, and vibrational motion. So, let's see for translatory motion. So, whenever I say a translatory motion, the particle has to move in a straight line path. So straight line means how many degrees of freedom? So straight line means it is moving like this. So how many degrees of freedom does the particle have? So particle moving in a straight line has 1 degree of freedom. Are you able to understand? Similarly, if there is a particle that is moving in the xy axis, then it has 2 degrees of freedom because you need 2 coordinates to describe the position of the particle. Suppose the same particle is moving in a 3-dimensional space, then it has 3 degrees of freedom. Clear, guys? So now the question comes. When you talk about the point mass cannot undergo rotation because its size is very small compared to the distance it is going to travel. So you can speak about rotation only when it is a finite sized object, whereas point mass does not have any finite size. So you cannot define rotation for it, but you can define only translatory motion. Similarly, if you talk about a rigid body with finite mass, then a rigid body will have rotatory and translatory motion associated with it. Okay. So when you talk about a rotatory motion can also have 3 coordinates in space like translatory motion. Therefore, a rigid body will have 6 degrees of freedom, 3 due to translatory motion, and 3 due to rotational motion. So when I talk about a rigid body, say I cannot explain in depth of it because it comes under the solid state. It has to be explained in chemistry. Means when you talk about a rigid body, there will be a particular position associated to all these particles. So what can happen is these particles can revolve in. So if I talk about a rigid body can revolve about 3 axes. If I take it like this, it can revolve about y-axis, it can revolve about x-axis, it can revolve about z-axis. Similarly, a rigid body can move along x-axis, can move along y-axis, can move along z-axis. So it can have translatory motion along any 3 directions, or it can have the provision to rotate about any 3 directions. So it has a total of 6 degrees of freedom. Okay. So a degree of freedom is nothing but the total number of coordinates that you need to describe the position and configuration of that particular system. When I say system, the system can either be a monatomic molecule, it can be a diatomic molecule, or it can be a triatomic molecule also. So for all these molecules, what we are going to do is we are going to calculate the value of gamma, which we have learned in thermodynamics, which is monatomic means what? Mono means one atom. So if you talk about a monoatomic molecule, it consists only a single atom of point mass. So a point mass will have how many degrees of freedom as per our discussion now? It will
3
have
degrees.
3 degrees of freedom. Means this particle can move along x direction or y direction or z direction. Has 3 degrees of freedom of translatory motion along the 3 coordinate axes as shown. So the examples that we can see as monatomic are helium, argon. These exist as monatomic molecules, right? So when you talk about a diatomic molecule, so diatomic molecule means O2, oxygen, oxygen, right? So when you talk about a diatomic molecule, then it can rotate about any axis at right angles to its own axis. So this is what the axis of the molecule is. So it can either revolve in y direction about y axis or z axis. So with respect to rotational motion, how many degrees of freedom it has? So it can rotate about y axis or z axis. So rotational motion has
2 degrees.
2 degrees, and this oxygen can move along x direction, can move along y direction, or can move along z direction. So how many degrees of freedom does it have due to translatory motion?
3, sir.
3. So totally how many degrees of freedom does it have? So 2 plus 3, it has 5 degrees of freedom.
So I have a doubt.
Tell me.
How are we adding it, sir? Like, how?
Because, see, wait, I'll show this part alone so that you understand. You're able to see me, right? See, suppose this is the oxygen atom, okay? This oxygen. So here there is NO, here there is NO. It is a diatomic molecule. Di means 2. So it has its own axis. Own axis means the axis which is passing through these 2 molecules. So with respect to a molecule, wherever they speak about axis, it means it is an imaginary line that is passing through both the point charges. Okay. So this oxygen cannot revolve above its own axis. It can revolve above this axis. So if I take this axis, so it is revolving about an axis like this. So this axis, if I call it as y-axis, and it can revolve like this also. So when it is revolving like this is z-axis. So it has 2 rotational degrees of freedom. Correct? So if this is oxygen, it can move like this completely along x direction. It can move like this along y direction. It can move like this along z direction. Correct? So due to rotational motion, how many degrees of freedom it has? Keep the rotational factor aside. In how many directions is it able to rotate? 2.
2, sir.
In how many directions is it able to have a translatory motion?
3,
Three.
sir.
So totally, how many degrees of freedom is associated with oxygen molecule alone?
5, sir.
That's what I did. That's why I'm adding.
Understood,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Had it been a point mass, the point mass means it should not have any size. So point mass I cannot define the axis of rotation for it. That is why we say rotation motion is not defined for it. Whereas a point mass can move along x direction, y direction, or z direction. So it has 3 degrees of freedom only due to whom? Due to the translatory motion. Right? Similarly, we can think of a triatomic molecule also. Correct? So triatomic molecule of linear type. And you can think of a non-linear type like ammonia and all those things, or water. So triatomic molecule. You can take carbon dioxide or C. You can take carbon dioxide or CS2. So carbon dioxide, it is something like this. So it is triatomic, 3 molecules, 3 atoms. And it is a linear, it has a linear structure. Means the bond angle here, whatever it is, I don't know what that is. The angle here is 180 degrees. So if something like this is there, then we call it as a triatomic molecule. So in the case of a triatomic molecule of linear type, the center of mass lies at the central atom. It therefore behaves like a diatomic molecule with how many degrees of freedom due to translation? It will have 3 degrees of freedom due to translation and 2 degrees of freedom due to rotation, because it can rotate about the carbon atom either in the y direction or z direction. So totally, a triatomic molecule of linear type also has 5 degrees of freedom. Am I clear, guys? Whereas when you talk about a triatomic molecule of non-linear type, see, all these things you would have learned in chemical bonding, right? So a triatomic non-linear molecule may rotate about the 3 mutually perpendicular axes. Because it's non-linear, I can define 3 axes of rotation. So it will have 3 degrees of freedom due to rotation, in addition to the 3 degrees of freedom due to translation of the coordinate axis. Hence, a triatomic molecule of non-linear type has a total of 6 degrees of freedom. So the conclusion that you need to remember is, you need to remember the number of degrees of freedom that is that is available for monatomic, diatomic, triatomic of linear type, and triatomic of non-linear type. So due to a monatomic molecule, how many degrees of freedom? It is 3. Diatomic, 5. Triatomic, 5. Triatomic linear type, 5. Triatomic non-linear type, 6. Because one more axis of rotation is going to get added to it. As simple as that. So based on all these things, we will, as I told you, our work is to calculate the value of gamma. Before we calculate gamma, we need to understand an important concept which is called as law of equipartition of energy. So the law of equipartition of energy states that for a dynamical system means a system where the particles have motion associated with them. Okay. So when you talk about a dynamical system in thermal equilibrium means every particle is going to have the same temperature. Okay. So I'm repeating it. Law of equipartition of energy states that for a dynamical system in thermal equilibrium, all the degrees of freedom equally share the total energy of the system. Suppose if the total energy of the system is X, okay, then when you talk about a monatomic molecule, then along each degree of freedom, how much energy will be possessed by the molecule? I'm repeating it again. If the total energy of a monatomic molecule is X, okay, so what does law of equipartition of energy state? When you talk about a dynamical system in thermal equilibrium, all the degrees of freedom have equal share of the total energy of the system. So how many degrees of freedom does it have, guys? A monatomic molecule?
3.
3. So can I call it as 3 times small x? So small x will be the total energy divided by 3. Purida.
Understood,
So,
sir.
so from this, an important conclusion that can be drawn is the energy associated with each degree of freedom per molecule is always half kb into T, where kb is the Boltzmann constant. Now you might have a confusion. Okay. Yesterday I told you the kinetic energy per unit molecule is 3 by 2 kb into T. Correct, Ada? Yesterday, what did I say? Energy per what energy? The kinetic energy per unit molecule is how much? 3 by 2 into kb into T. Am I right? 1 minute. Yeah. Now, why am I using the word half into kb into T? That's what we need to understand. Because what are they trying to talk about? Here, the energy what is common, but here, then yesterday, the energy was associated for each molecule. But each molecule will have how many degrees of freedom? I'm talking about each molecule. Each molecule definitely has 3 degrees of freedom, at least due to translation. Because when I say each particle, right? So the energy associated with each degree of freedom per molecule is given by 1/3 of 3 by 2 into kb into T. So 3 and 3 will get cancelled. That is why it is half into kb into T, where kb is the Boltzmann constant. So that's what we are going to prove it now. Let's see. So if you consider 1 mole of a monoatomic gas in thermal equilibrium at temperature T, each molecule in a monoatomic gas has 3 degrees of freedom. So due to translatory motion. So according to the kinetic theory of gases, the mean kinetic energy of the molecule is going to be 3 by 2 into kb into T. Right? Let Cx, Cy, and Cz be the components of the RMS velocity of the molecule along the 3 axes. Then the average kinetic energy of the gas per molecule is given by what? Half into m into c square is equal to half into m into cx square plus half into m into cy square plus half into m into cz square. But what does the law of equipartition of energy states? That half m cx square is the same as half m into cy square is the same as half m into cz square. That is, whether it has a translatory motion along x direction or y direction or z direction, it is going to travel with equal energy, provided it is in thermal equilibrium. That's what the statement says. Okay. When I equate all the three to be the same, then what will I get? So we know that half into m into cx square plus half into m into cy square plus half into m into cz square is 3 by 2 into kb into T, because it is the average kinetic energy per molecule. Seriya? So since all these three values are equal, then the energy corresponding to each degree of freedom will be half into kb into T. This is another important point to be remembered. So let me conclude the whole story. If I use the word average kinetic energy, then the value is 3 by 2 into R into T. Average kinetic energy, average energy per molecule. Tell me, da. It is 3 by 2. So what is average energy
KBT.
per? Yes, it is 3 by 2 kb into T. Average energy per molecule for each degree of freedom. That is 1 by 2 into kb into T. Are you able to understand the difference between all the three? So the last one is what is the last one? That is what is law of equipartition of energy. Okay. So please make a note of this point. Since you already have the notes, you need not sit and write the whole derivation. You can go through it later. Okay. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Now we are going to derive the ratio of two specific heat capacities of monoatomic, diatomic, and triatomic molecules. This is a very, very simple thing. Okay. Just concentrate, we are done. So we are going to use the application of law of equipartition of energies in specific heats of gases. So two formula that you are supposed to know is Cp minus Cv is equal to R. We saw in thermodynamics, which is called as the Mayer's relation. Similarly, Cp by Cv is called as gamma, where gamma is called as the specific heat ratios. Okay. Now, when I talk about the monoatomic molecule, if I'm interested to calculate the value of gamma, how do I find it? For that, if I know the average kinetic energy of molecule, it is 3 by 2 into kb into T. Then what is going to be the total energy of the gas? That is 3 by 2 into R into T. That's what I told. Average kinetic energy is 3 by 2 into R into T. So you need to be very careful with that thing. Correct? Now, for 1 mole, the molar specific heat at constant volume, that is Cv, is how much? It is defined as du divided by dt. That is nothing but 1 divided by dt into what is the internal energy of the system? It is 3 by 2 into R into T. I'm talking about the internal energy of the whole system. So if I differentiate this, I will get the answer as 3 by 2 times R. So Cv is given as 3 by 2R. Then what is Cp? Cp is nothing but Cv plus R. Cv plus R na 3 by 2R plus R. It is 5 by 2R. Now if I ask you what is Cp by Cv, what is the answer? Is there any doubt? Is there anything you want me to explain? Listen. Average kinetic energy per degree of freedom in monoatomic gas. இது கரெக்டா சொல்லுங்க பார்க்கலாம். Average kinetic energy, underline the word degree of freedom in monoatomic gas. Is it not half into kb into T?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what will be the average kinetic energy per molecule in this case? It will be 3 by 2 into kb into T. Why did I write 3 by 2 into kb into T? Is because how many degrees of freedom does it have?
3, sir.
So 3 into half into kb into T. That's why 3 by 2 into kb into T. Now what is going to be the average kinetic energy? I'm removing the word molecule. That will be 3 by 2 into kb into the number of molecules present in 1 mole of the substance. That is Avogadro number. Na into T. That will be 3 by 2 into R into T. And if I call this as the internal energy, then how is Cv defined for 1 mole of an monoatomic gas? It is du divided by dt. I hope you remember this. The amount of heat per unit mole per unit temperature. But here n is equal to 1. So this will be d by dt of 3 by 2 into R into T. So 3 by 2 R is taken out. Derivative of temperature with respect to temperature is 1. Okay, let me call this as equation number 1. Now you know that Cp minus Cv is R. So what is the value of Cp? 3 by 2 R, or I'll write it like this. Cp is equal to Cv plus R. That is 3 by 2 times R plus R. Up the 5 by 2R. Right? That is 2. Gamma is what? Cp by Cv. So 5 by 2R divided by 3 by 2R. R and R are gone. 2 and 2 are gone. Answer is 5 by 2. Does this make sense? So the value of gamma for a monoatomic gas is given as 5 by 3. Okay. Now I will do the same thing. Concentrate. You yourself will understand how to prove it. If suppose I want to derive the same expression for a diatomic gas, I'm going to follow the same logic. Average kinetic energy per molecule for each degree of freedom. How much? dash CV is equal to du by dt. This is what is u. Okay. Cp is equal to Cv plus R. Gamma is equal to Cp by Cv. These are the 6 steps now. Okay. I've just given you the steps for derivation. Now tell me, what is the average kinetic energy per molecule for each degree of freedom? I've already told now. Half
kBT, sir.
Kb into T. Now recollect. So I'm removing the word each degree of freedom, means each degree of freedom will go to the other side. It will get multiplied with half into Kb into T. Now recollect, it's a diatomic gas. For diatomic gas, what will be the average kinetic energy per molecule? How many degrees of freedom does it have?
5, sir.
So it will be 5 by 2 into Kb into T. Purida. So total energy for 1 mole of gas will be how much? 5 by 2 into Kb into Na into T. So what is 5 by Kb into Na?
R, sir.
R into T, and this is what we call it as internal energy. So this will be d by dt of 5 by 2 RT. How much is the answer? 5 by 2, 5 by 2 R. So Cp is equal to Cv plus R. 5 by 2 R plus R. 7R by 2. Cp by Cv. 7R by 2 by 5R by 2. Answer in 7 by 5. This is the required answer. Am I clear? So whether it is a monatomic, diatomic, triatomic linear or triatomic non-linear, what is the only step that is going to change? That is going to change the whole story. It is the second step. So this half into Kb into T should be multiplied with what parameter?
The degree of freedom, sir.
That's it. Now are you guys ready to do for a triatomic?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Here, what does gamma represent?
Gamma is the ratio of the specific heats. We use in adiabatic, no, PV power gamma is equal to constant. That gamma is what is this?
Okay, sir. Understood.
Yeah. Okay. Now are you guys ready for triatomic nonlinear? I'll ask you questions. So what is the first step? Average kinetic energy per molecule per degree of freedom. That is nothing but equipartition of energy. Okay. Next, average kinetic energy per molecule. Next, total energy. So I'll not use the word kinetic energy. Okay. I'll call it as average energy. Energy. Total energy is this. Cv is equal to du by dt. Cp is equal to Cv plus R. Gamma is equal to Cp by Cv. Now you guys tell me the average kinetic energy per molecule per degree of freedom.
Half kBT, sir.
That's it. Average kinetic energy per molecule. Look
6
at
by
that.
2 kBT, sir.
Very good. 6 by 2 into Kb into T. Next, total energy. 6 by 2 into Kb into Na into T. How much is that? 6 by 2 RT. RT. இதுதான் total internal energy. 6 by 2 RT is nothing but 3 RT. So du by dt. d by dt of 3 RT. How much is it?
3R, sir.
3R. So take this and substitute it here. 3R plus R. 4R. Cp by Cv. 4R divided by 3R. Answer 4 by 3. So now you guys understood how to derive the expression. They might ask you this thing. You understood the steps? Super. Let me show you everything, okay? We did for diatomic. Diatomic, it was 7 by 5. That's what we got. For triatomic, non-linear, 4 by 3. So other things, I hope you guys can try. Correct? Right?
Yes, sir.
Right? Good. Very good. So that's all from my side. With this, your portions are over. Yeah. 11th, physics is over. Okay. Now it's time for you guys to prepare, come up with doubts. Okay. Time for you to prepare, come up with doubts, and keep writing the practice tests. So start doing it. I'll send the schedule maximum by Saturday. I need some time to prepare. Maximum by Saturday or Sunday I'll send it off. Okay, you guys start your preparation.
Okay, sir.
I know the schedule of DAV. The other school students also, if you can share what is the final board exam, the final exam schedule with me personally, I can plan it accordingly. Tell me, Dan.
Sir, actually, for us, for DAD, pre-board exams are starting at middle February, sir. Like second week of February, they starting, sir. I think from February 12,
Okay.
13, they sir.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
actually proposed a scholarship exam, sir. But I think that's on February 14th, I think.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. So I have your final exam schedule in hand. I'm not sure of pre-boards. Once you get the schedule, any one of you can share it with me.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. But you start preparing, okay? Don't worry about all the schedules. We have completed, you start preparing. That's it. Okay. Any doubts, you can reach out to me on the number. I hope everyone has the number right. 6369 210 899. You can reach out to me on this number for any kind of academic clarifications. Okay. So if you're clear with this, let's wind up. So I'm ending the session.
Thank you.